right, so we're
But I'm
recording
still
now.
in it.
Dang it, right here. Well, okay, welcome to the first Stafford Keto Life meeting of January 2024. There was a request to record this, so unfortunately I couldn't do it live. I'll figure out how to do it live next time, and this will just be recorded after the fact, and you can submit questions, and I will do my best to answer them. And just a quick recap. I am Mitzi Champion. Jennifer Brown and I have the Stafford Keto Life group. Jennifer is otherwise engaged. She just became a grandma, plus it's her daughter's birthday, so she could not be here. But she is she has a master's in nursing. She's a nurse coach, and I am also a health coach, and I have a master's degree in public health nutrition. And I'm an adjunct professor at George Mason University teaching Introduction to Public Health. So we'd be happy to entertain your questions or hopefully come up with topics in subsequent meetings that you would like to hear about. So I'm going to stop looking at the camera and I'm going to look at the people that are here with me. So please don't feel like I'm ignoring you, but technically I'm living in the moment with my people that are here. So, I'll just tell you what my impression is of what the last 3 years have done to all of us. Okay, COVID has made us soft. COVID has made us vulnerable. It's kind of depressing a little bit about what we've had to endure. We have somebody new joining.
Bring a chair with you.
Come on. Yeah. So there's the camera. So if you don't, no, it's okay. It's okay. And we're not live. I'm just recording it for posterity.
You got it?
I think we've lost our motivation and our level of accountability. And when, for days on end, you never have to leave your house. And let's be honest, you don't even have to take a shower because you're working from home. When we used to be, I could not believe, I thought about what my routine used to be. Up at 4:30 in the morning, down here at the yoga studio on 610 to do yoga from 5 to 6. Get in my car at 6, join all the crazy 610 traffic to make my way back to the harbor, hop in the shower, get dressed, get ready, grab my kid, drive all the way to Dumfries to drop her off at John Paul, turn around, come all the way back to go to Stafford to work. 4:30, turn around, drive all the way back up to get her, come back, come all the way back. And we did that every day without missing a beat and never thinking twice about it. And now you want me to get up what? And you want me to be where at what time? Honestly, think about that. We have gone from being so busy and so productive to leave the house about once, twice a week. And that is the truth.
And we have groceries delivered.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like heaven forbid we don't, we never have to go out in public anymore. So I think all of us need a restart, a reset, accountability, motivation, mindset. All of those things are important when you're, basically this is a health behavior change. That's exactly what it is. And then once it's just like a muscle. Discipline is like a muscle. The more you practice it, the more you lift, the stronger you get. The more discipline you practice, the more disciplined you become. Some of us are old timers that, I'm gonna look at you and say, you probably, Kelly, you navigate this like a soldier clearing a minefield. It's like you know where all the fields are, you know how to avoid them, because you've probably stepped on a few in the past.
Actually, no, we just purposely, we were just on a
Avoided.
cruise.
Oh yeah.
And we consciously, before we went, because we had the full package this time.
Yeah.
So we were doing drinks at the bar at night. About the third or fourth day, we actually had a little pastry with breakfast. Before that, breakfast was just bacon and eggs.
Right.
Dinner, I would have, so they do some cold soups like coconut and carrot or
Mhm.
coconut and whatever. And I just decided, but I didn't eat the whole bowl, but I decided before I ever went that if there was something I wanted, I was going to have some.
Mhm.
And I mean, I'm almost 5 years in. February 4th is 5 years, and I have not done that except for when we went back to Oregon. I did a couple of little things when we went back to Oregon last June. So again, it was a conscious thing, and when I came home, I just went right back to eating keto.
So that would tell me that you are most definitely a moderator, because you can moderate, you know when to
Yes.
stop, you can order it
Yes.
and take 2 or 3 bites, push it aside and say, that was great, I had that experience.
Yes.
And it doesn't trigger you to
Yes.
go off the rails,
No.
and so for some people though, that one
Yes.
bite can trigger that.
Yes, and I'm grateful I'm not one of those people.
Yeah.
Although I can tell you, I did have that concern before we went back to Oregon, and I also had concern about how it would affect me at this point. You know, whether I would really feel it in my body. And I put on about 3 pounds,
Mhm.
but it went right back off when I got home.
Yeah, it was probably 3 pounds, honestly, 3 pounds of liquid,
Yeah.
because you were having more carbs than you normally do,
Yeah.
and you were retaining some of that.
Yeah.
You're not gonna gain 3 pounds, well, let me put it this way, you could gain 3 pounds of fat
Right.
on a cruise, but you weren't eating
I
the
wasn't
kinds of things
overeating.
that's gonna
No.
cause you
No.
to gain the 3 pounds,
Hmm.
yeah. So motivation, accountability, people have to figure out what their why is. Most people, and I'll tell you, the ones that are the least successful, in my experience, are the people that come to this with the goal of weight loss.
Yes.
That is the least effective reason. I mean, it's a nice side effect, but for some people it could be, you know, for me it was, my youngest child only has one parent. If something happens to me, then she's an orphan, you know, gonna be raised by her siblings. And that was a pretty sobering thought. So that kind of kept me on the straight and narrow for a while. Well, now she's 21. So what's my why now? She's married and she has a husband to take care of her. She's somebody else's problem now. So, you know, you have to always reevaluate what your why is, and you have to make sure that it's big enough, because if your why isn't big enough, your excuses will.
My why is health.
Exactly. And it should be, and longevity. And look, if they're gonna push the damn retirement age out for us and keep dangling the carrot and keep moving it further and further, I'm collecting as much as possible. Okay, so you're gonna lose your bet on me, Uncle Sam, because I'm gonna stick around to collect that as long as I can. And by the way, it's a pretty penny by the time I'm 70. So thank you very much. So all of those things we just need to have some type of accountability and motivation. One of the things I thought of is every Monday, Dr. Barry goes live on his YouTube channel. His YouTube channel is open to the public. He has 2.9 million followers. He's about to hit 3 million very soon. That is live every week, very informative, very motivational, and pretty much it's grassroots. It's like getting back to it. It's a good refresher every week to stay motivated and have accountability. Then at the very end, he talks about his Mighty Network, which I am a part of. I am one of his mentors and coaches in his network, which has 8,000 people in his network. So I answer emails and I talk with people daily in that network. There's 10 coaches, so you figure, well, if there's 8,000 people and there's 10 coaches, that's like 1 coach per 800, but there's not 8,000 active people. So the coach to participant ratio is pretty good. Membership in that network, because Dr. Barry is no longer practicing medicine, that's not his main way to, he writes books and he helps people this way, but he has a much bigger audience. A membership in that group, you're a member in the group, aren't you? So, Yeah, so I think it starts at $5.
It's
Yeah.
$5 a month.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
$5 a month.
But I think there's also a discount if you pay it for a
For
year.
a year.
Yeah, so, anyway, the point of the matter is, and I'm not really I'm not promoting it, I'm not selling it, I'm not hawking it, I'm not, hey, step right up, folks, let me tell you, let me show you what I'm selling. That's not what I'm doing at all. I think it's very important that you have accountability and you have a group, someplace you can go, because if you're the only member in your household that's eating this way, it's hard to stay motivated when you don't have somebody that you can, either a group that you can go to and say, I cannot believe my husband just brought home, they had a thing at work and they had 14 dozen leftover donuts and they brought them home. What, my husband's not being very supportive. Well, girl, you do not have to eat those donuts, and you just, you need to have somebody say, you tell him he's a clueless, tone-deaf butthead, and please take those donuts somewhere else, because you're not helping, you're not supporting me. So it's nice to have that outlet, somebody that you can talk to that can give you the support. The other thing is, for $5 a month, that's what you pay for a cup of coffee, really. If you go to Starbucks once, why not invest in something that can provide you with that, a whole tribe of 8,000 people, that when you ask a question, and part of my job there is, I go into the chat and see what other people are saying. 9 times out of 10, if somebody throws an answer up there, it's the right answer. It's like, these people aren't bojangling and posting bro science, and they know what they're talking about. And the reason why they know what they're talking about is because Dr. Berry imparts that knowledge week after week after week, so the members of the tribe know, and you're helping out each other and answering each other's questions. So I think that would be helpful. Monday nights, that's free. You want to join the network, that's on you. I think it's definitely worth, it's less than a copay to go to the doctor and I think right now they're offering free trials. Nisha's gonna kill me for saying that, but they are, so you might wanna.
But they're so down to earth and informative and encouraging and all of that. They don't ever belittle anybody. They encourage you to just do the best you can, make the changes you can. So
And
I
with
think
the
they're
cost that you can't, at the price that you can.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
So this does not have to be, you don't have to go to your butcher and have grass-fed, grass-finished, the highest quality,
No.
He calls it panda massage meat. You can do it with just ground beef from Walmart,
Yeah.
bacon from Walmart. Aldi is where I shop for my bacon. I think it's the cheapest around. And the Battlefield Country Store every Saturday has the 10-pound box of bacon.
Oy.
Yeah, it is very thin. However, I like the thick better, but bacon is bacon.
I double it
We
and
don't
then roll it
discriminate.
into the bacon straws and cook it.
Oh,
Yeah.
we double it and cook it
Yeah.
double.
So
Yeah.
if you
But
double
I've
it
been
over,
going, my Giant has the thick bacon, it's $10 for 2 pounds. And I've been making the bacon jerky. Oh my goodness.
do you make bacon jerky in a dehydrator?
No, in the oven.
Oh, well, yeah, I was to say.
Okay.
We do
For
it
hours,
at,
right?
our oven has the air fry in it. So we put it on that for 170 for 2 hours. Then you flip it and cook it another 2 hours. And I'm telling you,
Bacon jerky.
I'm walking by, that cheese they say everybody walks by to pick up? It's me walking by to pick up the bacon. It's so bad. I mean, it's so good that it's so bad
Yeah,
for me to
right.
probably be eating it all day long.
That's right. Okay, so mindset. It's hard to change a habit. It's hard to, our culture has totally entwined celebration, holidays, family events with food, particular dishes. It's not the same without Aunt Betsy's whatever, and if you go there and you can't have it, you feel like you're deprived. Well, Aunt Betsy's not going to be upset with you if you say, if I eat that, I think I might become ill because it might upset my stomach or something like that. Aunt Betsy's not going to be upset with you if you have to say no, right? I give this example all the time. When I first started on this journey, my granddaughter is gonna be 9 years old. It was her 1-year birthday. And my ex-husband at the birthday party said, I cannot believe that you're not gonna have a bite of your granddaughter's birthday cake. And I said, I don't need to have a bite of my granddaughter's birthday cake to celebrate her being 1 year old. I don't need to. And then when she took a bite of the cake, she screamed and cried and hated it. And of course, I'm in the background going,
Smart girl.
well, and you see, babies just instinctively know. She's still 1 year old. She put that in her mouth, and her reflex was, ooh, that is yucky, right?
My grandson didn't like regular cake either. He liked the keto cookies that I made,
Yeah.
but he didn't like
They
the.
just,
gotta be
they
sweetness.
just instinctively know that that was not normal. And one of the first foods I gave her was butter. I also gave her, she ate cod liver. She ate pickled
I
okra.
absolutely love that cod liver.
She ate some things that I remember my son saying, her diapers are rank after she comes to your house, Mom, because you feed her all this stuff. Goat milk, I had her on goat milk, and I fed her, some vegetables and things and bacon was one of the first things. And I've done that with my other granddaughter who's gonna be 2. Kids instinctively know what's good for them. So, I think we don't, I went off on a little bit off a tangent, but we should no longer allow events where we should be celebrating being with family and the time together to be cause us to fall off the rails because of food. And it's really hard, and I admit it, it's hard. I have a birthday coming up. I don't need a birthday cake. I don't need a birthday cake. I don't even want it acknowledged. I don't care that I have a birthday coming up. But I will tell you, full confession, my significant other took me out to the Brazilian steakhouse. And it was fabulous. The bill was $200. Okay?
Which one did you go to?
Because dinner, Texas Day Brazil in Fairfax.
Yeah.
So it's $60 for dinner, 60 each for dinner. Plus we each had 1 glass of wine. And at the very end, our waitress, I'm telling you, those servers there do a great job of trying to upsell you. And I understand exactly what it is they're doing. And I always listen patiently because I remember what it was like to be a server, right? So I listened to it at the end. She brings the dessert tray around. And I said, may I try to guess what the desserts are before you tell us what they are? Because it's those big fake plastic desserts that are, stuck on there, because it's not the real dessert, it's just a replica of the dessert. And so I went around, and I'm not gonna say anything in case it's triggering, and I successfully named all of them. And she's like, how did you know? And I just looked at it, and I said, well, I just, based on what it looked like, I kind of figured that's what it was. So he says to me, he looks at me and he looks at her and he says, it's totally up to her if she wants to get one. And I said, well, out of all of the death on this tray, the least offending thing would be the cheesecake. So I said,
Don't eat the crust.
I will order the cheesecake. Now this isn't a fancy deal. Well, first of all, the sample size of the cheesecake was like this big, and I'm looking at that going,
That's 3 days worth
oh
of.
my God. And so he said 1 piece, 2 forks. So when she brings the piece, obviously,
It's smaller.
oh yeah, it's much smaller. And I'm like, that is a more normal human size, piece. And so I'm eating it, took a bite, and I looked at him, I said, you are not gonna believe me when I tell you this. This cheesecake is lousy.
Oh.
And it does not taste as good as my keto-fied version of cheesecake. And my taste buds have obviously changed. This does not taste good. I didn't say that out loud, but I said, that tells me that it was not, the juice was not worth the squeeze on that. It was very disappointing.
Yeah, I can say the almond croissant on the cruise, it's a good thing I didn't have one of those until like day 5, because it was every bit as good as I remember. And I seriously I could do some damage with that. I didn't, because again, portion control. But man, were they good.
Well, and I don't know what cruise line you were on. Were you
Princess.
on? Okay, so you were on Princess. You know that there are countries that their food, like the food that they import from our country, if they import, I'm just gonna pick one, Kraft macaroni and cheese. The Kraft macaroni and cheese that this country imports is vastly different than the Kraft macaroni and cheese they sell in this country. And the reason why it's different is because that country says, we don't allow food with this ingredient, this ingredient, this ingredient, this ingredient.
Yeah.
So either you change your formulation, you're not selling to us. But here's what they do. Kraft, because they're so benevolent, they change their recipe to sell it to this country. But for us, they're like, you know, who
Because our
cares?
government allows all this crap.
Yes, they do, and there are not enough things on the restricted list, in my opinion. So the way that you can avoid all of that is just don't eat anything packaged. Just make your food. Real food has, real food is an ingredient. Real food doesn't have ingredients. Okay, so if you want, like at the Texas de Brazil, when I went to they want you to go to that bar and get stuff first before the gauchos start bringing you the meat, right? Like, I'm not going up there and filling up on all that. I got a piece of meat, a piece of cheese, some olives, 2 or 3 of the pickled, like asparagus thing, or green, 2 or 3 green beans, 1 spear of asparagus, and I ate some of that, and I still left some of that on the plate by the time they started bringing the meat around, because that takes up space. It's void of nutrition. They want you to be full. They don't want you to eat and fill up on the meat. And they would bring the chicken around, and I would just say, no thank you, politely to the chicken, because I'm not.
You're there for the beef.
I'm here for the beef.
Where's the beef?
Where's the beef? Exactly. Where is the beef? But after, I glanced over and I saw checkout of $200. I'm like, so I said, here's what I think we should do next year. I said, here, how's this for forward planning? I said, do you know what we could buy for $200 at the grocery store? We could have lobster tails, nice steak, scallops, nice herb butter,
Keto,
and a keto cheesecake, and still come out ahead, saving money.
That's right.
Because that would be $100 worth of groceries that you could turn into even better $200 meal. And but he reminded me, he said, number 1, we can afford to do this. Number 2, we don't do it very often. And he said, and now he has to take Social Security because he hit 70. He's like, I just got a huge raise.
Spend it, honey.
That's
Okay.
right. So yeah, so I helped him spend his raise, so to speak. But the one thing that I did notice in that restaurant, and it's hard not to notice, there's still a lot of people going out who have expendable income to pay $60 for one dinner. And there are a lot of people that are at the bar, at the salad bar, choosing the things that are going to fill them up before they ever hit even $20 worth of meat.
Yeah, but people who are still eating the standard American diet often eat much larger meals, right? They're used to eating more because they're not eating to satiation. They're eating for the flavor, and they just keep eating.
Well, the satiation doesn't come usually because what triggers the satiety is the cholecystokinin. It happens when you eat fatty meals, and a lot of what are we touting now? Low fat, low fat, low fat, no fat, and so it just never hits. Or they have to eat a tremendous amount of food, and your body also fills you up because your body can sense the nutrition that's in the food too.
And part of it too, they're going and they're spending $60 a meal, so dang it, I'm gonna eat $60 worth.
That's right,
And-
yes, I'm gonna
Yeah,
eat this.
and
That
that's
was
what-
my
for us,
ex-husband's.
We
Yeah.
go occasionally.
We're going to Golden Corral, I'm gonna eat my
Mm-hmm.
money's worth.
Yeah.
It's like,
And we
there's
go,
nothing here.
we go to Texas de Brazil and again, we most of the time eat at home. There's only a couple of things that we go out for because we don't enjoy the food out.
Yeah.
But that's one of the places that we enjoy. And, but we still don't overeat. We go and we make sure we get just the things we really like because we don't eat much at a sitting anymore.
Right.
And for us, just the satisfaction and the not having to cook it ourselves every once in a while, or for a special like our anniversary or something like that, it's worth the $60.
I
Or
agree.
you can get
Yeah.
discounted
Good.
gift cards at
Is this
Costco
mine?
too.
Yeah,
Whatever
this
you
is
said.
yours.
So
Yeah.
we'll do that sometimes. But-
I feel the same way you do about going out to eat.
Yeah.
So I had a coworker text me and say, "Hey, so and so and I are going to be at Buffalo Wild Wings. You want to, at 12:30? You want to meet us?" And it was Friday. It was my APM's RDO. But when your APM says, "Hey, you want to have lunch?" You say, "Yeah, I'm going to have lunch with you." So what did I get? A double cheeseburger with a side of guac and bacon and a side salad. And they said, "What kind of dressing do you want?" And I don't think I have it here. I took it out of my other purse. I said, "Oh, I have brought my own." And they looked at me like, "You have dressing in there?" And I pulled out my little individual olive oil. Because that's really all you need, olive oil and a spritz of lemon,
Yep.
and you're good. You just want something to lubricate it, right?
Yep.
So it helps it go down, right? And I felt fine. It was good. But I wasn't going to trust that Buffalo Wild Wings says they do their wings in tallow. Do they really? I don't know. I want to be back in the kitchen. You got to prove it to me.
That's
I
interesting.
heard, that Outback does their stuff in tallow, but
You know,
that's what I ask every time I go in. I ask, what do you cook it in?
yeah, and it's just not worth it. It's just not worth it. To give you an example, last night after having that, engaging in the death on the tray, I had to get up to go downstairs to get some water. My joints were like, "Hello, you had sugar." That quickly.
Oh, yeah.
And then this morning, fine. You know, I could come down the
Yes,
stairs. I was like, kind of, you know, having to
Wish
hold
you
on.
had some canes?
Well, yeah, holding on, coming down the stairs, like, wow, that's quick. Your body just does not like that. It's very inflammatory, so.
Oh, inflammatory. I was gonna say, how is it that the sugar makes your joint hurt? But then I forgot the inflammation part.
And for some people, it's that. For other people, you know, for me, that's how it affects me. I feel it in my joints first. For other people, they might bloat up. You know, I don't blow it up. I just felt it in my joints. But you'll figure out what your bellwether is. Like, you'll know what your limits are. Something else that's happened that and it's because of being in Dr. Berry's group. The great thing about the 10 coaches that we have is every coach has their own niche where they've specialized, where they've dug down and they've really drilled down. We've got one coach that focuses on healthy movement and staying active. We have another coach that's, he's all about like spending the minimal amount of time you can in the gym to get the maximum benefits. That's Coach Kevin, Coach Neil. And then there's Coach Alyssa. She's more of like gut health and all of that. Like, I understand gut health, but I didn't specialize in it. My area of expertise and what I really like is like diabetes reversal, type 2 diabetes reversal, and metabolic health recovery. A little bit of thyroid, a little bit of autoimmune issues. But I forgot where I was going with this. Oh, the thing that I've noticed, oxalates. A lot of us are not even aware of what oxalates are. Are you
Isn't
aware?
that what with
Spinach.
beans or?
Yeah, well, beans there are some oxalates in beans, but you're thinking of phytates and lectins and oxalates. So phytates and lectins are what is called anti-nutrients. So there's like two groups of thought in that. Anti-nutrient, there's a group of scientists who think that's made up bullshit. And then there's the ones that say, yes, it's very real and they've studied it and it's, their anecdotal evidence is just as important as any type of random controlled stuff. But you can't prove that to the masses. But anyway, the
oxalate.
the oxalates are actually like little shards of glass, and they when you wake up in the morning and you can shed them through your eye. So when you're wiping out those crusties in your eye, those are oxalates. Your body can handle a certain daily amount of oxalates that it can clear. So in other words, it's like dumping water. How fast does your drain clear? And if you put too much water in there, you're going to flood because the drain can't handle it. So your body can clear, I think, about 50. I don't know exactly what the units are. But at first I thought, what is this whole thing about oxalates? Like, I was a little skeptical, which is fine to be skeptical. Skeptical just means I don't have enough information yet to be convinced, right? So I was doing more reading. The nuts and seeds have so many oxalates in them. Spinach, kale, vegetables have these oxalates. Things that have been touted as a health food that people have been, how many times have you seen somebody post about their kale and spinach smoothie? Or, the one way that you can eat this kale is just whir it up in this thing and then drink it, and then these people are becoming like, oh, I have rheumatoid arthritis, but look, I'm so health conscious, but I can't move. Well, could it be the oxalates that you're overdosing on? So I've just noticed that when I cut them out, like if you, when you go like this and you feel like sand or grit or something on your skin, and you're like, oh, I must, like I have some dry skin or something. But no, that's oxalates coming out of your skin. And oxalates also form kidney stones and other things. But you have to do self-experimentation to find out if you're sensitive to things that contain the oxalates or not. There's also a group of foods called nightshades, like peppers, tomatoes. No, mushrooms aren't, but potatoes, and what's the big purple thing?
Eggplant.
They're in the nightshade family, and they can cause inflammation. So most people have a threshold of how many nightshades or how much nightshade they can tolerate at one sitting. And I had this anecdotal story that I like to tell. I had a friend at work who grew tomatoes, and it was a bumper crop, and she said, have you ever had gazpacho? And I was my ego was low enough that I was like, I have no idea even what gazpacho is. I don't even know what you're talking about. And she says, oh my gosh, I'm going to bring you some. You're going to love it. So she brings me a bowl, and I'm not kidding. It's like the Pyrex bowl, this one, that have the plastic lid. It's a big Pyrex bowl, this size. And she said, I'm going to bring enough for you and your family. You just bring me the bowl back. And I was like, okay. So I figured, well, I got this gazpacho. I'm at work, right? I need some lunch, so I had a little bowl. I was like, damn, that's really good. So I had another little bowl. And then I had another bowl. And then there was just a little bit left, and I was like, well, there's no reason. I can just wash this and give it back to her now. So I finished off that huge bowl. I could barely get out of bed the next day. I was so affected by that. I had no idea what I had done. And really just chalked it up to, I was like, what weird ingredient did she put in that? What did I poison myself with? Because I had no clue until I did more research on it. So those are little things that, like, once you clean up your diet and you're on it for a while, that you'll notice. And they'll pertain just to you and you. It's individual. Like, I can't say, oh, here's exactly what you need to eat, and this is what's gonna work for you, cause it works for everybody. If anybody tells you, I've got the foolproof thing, I know what you need to do, they're full of crap, okay, cause that's not.
Sally Norton has something on YouTube that goes out and explains all of that. I
Yeah.
watched that and it was like,
Sally Norton.
Sally K. Norton, her book is called, Toxic Superfoods, and I'm in the middle of reading it right now.
oh, okay.
Sally K. Norton, she's an MPH too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I watched it like last year and I went,
Yeah.
okay, Bob, all of these veggies are going out of the house. We don't need them anymore.
Yeah, well, you know, here's the thing about vegetables. Eat the ones you like that like you back, right? But there isn't any reason why there's nothing that says, I hate when that happens, right? There's nothing that says you have to eat these vegetables in order to attain optimal health. You really don't. Eat them if you like them and they like you back. But people argue that, oh, but you need fiber. Well, where's the fiber in breast milk? Well, you know why babies are so regular when they're on breast milk? It's the high level of fat. That's what makes the babies regular on the breast milk. So what do you think makes people regular on the proper human diet? It's the high level of healthy fat that you're consuming now. Because if you're not eating processed carbs and junk, and you're eating protein, what other macro is left? It's the protein with the fat attached, right? I mean, what else are you gonna eat?
Now, would oxalates affect like bursitis or trigger bursitis?
Could very easily. Could. Yes.
And when yours flares up, put heat on it. Don't put ice on it.
I was diagnosed with bursitis. It doesn't swell. I have it on my elbow. I had to get an X-ray, and because I couldn't
Well,
turn certain ways or whatever, reach, and I would get this sharp burning pain, and it was like somebody was sticking a hot poker. But it was just when a certain angles, I didn't have any swelling. Like I looked at YouTube and I see
Yeah.
people with.
So let me ask you this. You know, when you're driving along and you need to reach something in the back seat, is that how you discovered what was wrong? You were trying to turn around and get something out of the back seat?
No, actually, I was laying in bed and I rolled over on my elbow to prop myself up.
And it went twing.
And I was like, oh my gosh, what was it? And so it just, over the year, it progressively got worse to the point now where if I'm driving, to reach over to put my seatbelt on,
It can hurt.
yeah, if I go to put a coat on,
Yeah.
it'll
You're
trigger. So I just recently started doing physical therapy. I got an X-ray and they said, well, we see this little knot, on the elbow. But
So there are other things that can contribute to that too, and it's all related to what we're talking about. So there are, your body maintains your pH between 7.2 and 7.4, the pH in your blood. So if your blood starts to become too acidic, your body will pull calcium from your bones into your blood to make it less acidic. And then if your blood is becoming too alkaline, your body will remove the calcium from your blood, and it's supposed to go back into your bones. But it needs an escort to get back into the bones, and that escort is vitamin K2. So most people are deficient in K2. So if you don't have the K2 to escort the calcium back into the bones, not only is that going to lead to osteopenia, potentially osteoporosis, but the calcium's got to go somewhere. It can't stay in the blood. It has to go somewhere. So for some people, it ends up maybe forming stones in their kidneys. It ends up going into the lining of their epithelial cells, like in their arteries. And other people, it can end up going into their joints and causing bursitis and other things. So, if you're gonna supplement with D3, so I'm going, and you're like, D3, where did that come from? most people are also chronically deficient in vitamin D3. Maybe think about this. D3 is the most bioactive form of versus D2. D3 is what your body can assimilate and use. D3 comes from you being exposed to the sun.
See, I'm allergic to the sun.
Okay, so, well, you're probably not allergic to the sun, but I will tell you, there are some really good videos Dr. Berry has made about seed oils and how it can adversely affect your skin. And, you know, your skin is made from the ingredients that, you know, the raw ingredients that you put in your body. So healthy skin is going to react in a healthy way. I used to turn red and get bumpy when I would go into the sun.
Yeah, I broke out in heat rash.
Yeah, so that doesn't happen anymore, you know, so that doesn't happen to me anymore. But D3, sunlight on your skin, it reacts with the cholesterol in your body to form D3. So I've just also, now I've introduced another buzzword. I said cholesterol. So what have we been told to avoid
High cholesterol.
for how many years? Oh, and aren't we told that the sun is going to kill us now? Because of sun gives us skin cancer. So avoid the sun. You've got to reduce your cholesterol. You know, so you avoid the sun, reduce your cholesterol. Now I'm vitamin D deficient. Oh, I don't have the escort of the K2, which to get the calcium back into my bones after it comes out to go into my blood, and now I'm osteopenic, and I've got bursitis, and I've got kidney stones, and I've got it all because nobody thinks about second and third order effects of what if we tell people to lower their cholesterol? Are you so damn dumb that you forgot what you learned in physiology about all the important roles of cholesterol in the body? So do you really think that it's a good idea to lower the backbone of all of your hormones? Cholesterol is made, all of your sex hormones are made on a backbone of cholesterol. The myelin sheath in your brain that allows your nerves to talk to each other, made of cholesterol. Oh, and we're also having an epidemic of what? Dementia. Because the brain synapses are no longer able to fire and talk to each other properly. So nobody sat down in second and third order effect and analyzed, what if we tell people to stay out of the sun? Do you realize that the sun is the sole reason why there is life on Earth? Well, I mean, aside from God created the life on Earth, but without the sun helping out, there would be no life on Earth. There'd be no plants. Without plants, there'd be no humans. Well, Mitzi, why would there be no humans without plants? Because plants breathe carbon dioxide and as a waste product give us oxygen. So, see, nobody sits and thinks about how some of these things that they're telling us to do just don't add up and they don't make sense. And like once you see it clearly, you can see the jokes before they even hit the punchline. Have you seen the most recent article in Science that says the carbon footprint of growing your own food is 5 times more than conventionally grown food? So you're telling me that my backyard garden, the carbon footprint of me growing food in my backyard is going to be 5 times that of conventionally grown, where they strip the soil and then they have to put the NKP back into the soil. The soil is dead. There is no life in that soil. It just grows that one thing that we put in it, whereas the stuff that's in my backyard is filled with worms and bugs and grubs, and half the time you hear squealing out there, what is it? Ew, it's a slimy thing in the garden. Well, that's a good thing. That's a great thing, you know? And we're supposed to believe that me growing food in my backyard is going to have a significant carbon footprint, more so than some conventionally. And all they're doing is they're setting it up, in my opinion, to make growing your own food illegal.
Well, but that's just like them saying all of these health things don't have cholesterol, so you will take drugs or vitamins or whatever. They've got something to sell you to fix that.
Absolutely.
I read where, the older people, like in their 90s, had higher levels of cholesterol, and the ones, older adults who had normal or low cholesterol all passed.
Mhm.
They didn't get to live.
Oh, well, there are significant studies that show that, and it's directly correlated. The lower your cholesterol level, the higher your risk of death from all-cause mortality. You can state it another way. The higher your cholesterol, the lower your risk of death from all-cause mortality. And it's very clear. It was a huge meta-analysis, which if you are looking at the hierarchy of evidence and pretend that the hierarchy of evidence is a triangle, across the bottom of the triangle, which is the lowest level of evidence, is expert opinion, which we've been functioning on listening to expert opinion for the past 3 years. And the one expert opinion finally frickin' retired, so that we don't have to listen to his expert opinion anymore. Y'all can't guess who I'm talking about, but anyway.
I almost wore the t-shirt too.
Yeah, so, expert opinion is the lowest level. We're talking about meta-analysis, which is at the peak. It's at the top of the triangle as far as the strength of evidence and the importance of the research. But nobody's changing. There's nobody saying, or if there are, they're getting shot down immediately, maybe literally, who knows. Excuse me, this whole thing about cholesterol, I think we got it wrong. Nobody's ever gonna be like, ladies and gentlemen, testing. We're really sorry that we totally screwed up about the cholesterol thing, and we're sorry that your Aunt Bertha died from dementia, and that your dad and this, and we're really sorry, and oops, we got it wrong. That'll never happen.
No.
There'll never be that.
No,
So,
but it could be a gradual shift.
yeah, because
But you'll never notice it because of how
Yeah. I think you are right.
slight of a.
Because they have said that cholesterol is no longer a nutrient of concern. They have come out and said that, but they still are married to the idea of the LDL, the HDL, total cholesterol. The total cholesterol number, that number, whatever yours is a completely irrelevant number, because what it is today, right now, at this second, that total cholesterol number, it's gonna be a different number tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a different number next week. You need to know that number in context with all the other numbers. And all the other numbers that are important are things like, well, what's your triglyceride? Your triglyceride number is an indication, purely an indication of whether or not you've been consuming excess carbs, and, or, it could be both, that you have poor insulin sensitivity. Those are the two reasons why your triglyceride numbers would be high. You are insulin resistant, and or both, you've consumed a lot of processed carbs. So you look at that triglyceride number, look at the HDL number, and the LDL is really irrelevant. And there's a man called Dave Feldman who's doing a research study, and he's proving it. First he came up with the hypothesis, then he wanted to test it, then he raised the money as a citizen scientist, and now he's people that eat this way, like I'm one of them. My cholesterol is like 200 and it's in the high 200s, low 300s. At one point it was over 400. Like I was never worried about it, right? But the people that, they're freaking out. So finally I said, look, every single time that I come in here, I said, look at my triglyceride number. I said, look at my HDL number. So my ratio is less than 1. I said, look at this, that, and then I said, look at my A1C. I said, I'm not diabetic. I'm not at the risk for you know, this HDL or this LDL is not the boogeyman that we seem to think it is. And for people like us who eat this way, the LDL goes up a lot. It's called lean mass hyperresponder. I don't think I'm a lean mass hyperresponder. Because I'm not. I don't have a lot of lean mass. I don't think. So I got enough lean mass. I don't have anybody complaining, but I got enough fat to still stay curvy. But you know, you just doctors don't. First of all, they don't have the time to do the reading and to do the research, and they depend very heavily on the pharmaceutical reps to give them the continuing education units and to educate them about the new medications, this new and improved whatever. And eventually doctors, I guess, either come to the conclusion that geez, I guess I just must be unlucky because every patient I have never gets better, or every patient I have must be non-compliant, or geez, this stuff that I've been promoting must be wrong. So, or the fourth version would be, I don't really care, I'm just making money hand over fist, and I've got 20 people on the payroll that I have to take care of, so crank them through, right? And it's not very lucrative when you decide to be the doctor that announces that the emperor has no clothes, because they come gunning for you. And I'm shocked and amazed that they haven't come gunning for Ken Berry yet, but he
Borderline. I'm telling you,
But
some of the
he-
last ones
but
this year, I think he's thrown out a lot of good ones.
well, he always backs up what he says with a lot of research, and he puts the links to the research. So people that just drop a bomb, I just want to be, just want to say something sensational,
Shock factor.
the shock factor to get clicks and to get views and things like that. And it's great to get a click and a view, and Dr. Berry doesn't have to worry about the number of clicks. His clicks are,
Right.
he has no issues with that. But then he backs it up with data and facts. So, you know, it's hard to argue with that. And then, and even if you don't, sometimes he'll be on a live and he'll say something, somebody will ask a question, and I'll be like, I wish I was there to answer it because I can answer it. And before, you know, his response will be, oh yeah, that's bullshit. And I'm on my phone texting him going, Ken Berry, that is not bullshit. You should not say that that's bullshit. I'm going to send you study after study after study after study that proves that what that lady was asking about is totally legit. And he's like, okay, Mitzi, you can, he goes, okay, you take that one. It's like, all right, you talk about that one. And I do sometimes. He'll say, well, if you want to talk about it, go right ahead. You want to do a video on it, you do a video on it. I'm like, yeah, but it's not as meaningful if it doesn't come from the big kahuna. So,
Is Dave Feldman a doctor or a scientist?
he is an engineer.
Engineer.
Yeah. Now he doesn't do the research, but he has he's working with Nick Norwitz, who is a PhD. He's getting his MD right now, and he's like in his 20s.
Nick Norway.
Nick Norwitz, Norwitz. And so LMHR is the acronym for Lean Mass Hyperresponder, and if you look that up, it'll pop up. If you look up Dave Feldman, LMHR, it'll pop up. I think even Sean Baker, who's a carnivore, has talked about it too.
What was Nick's name again?
Norwitz, Norwitz.
Mitzi,
And-
what do you think about earthing and grounding?
Well, so first of all, when you hear about that, you think, well, that sounds a little bit far-fetched, right? And you're skeptical. Okay, human beings our DNA is the same as hunter-gatherers. It hasn't changed. We are hunter-gatherers. Hunter-gatherers walked and slept on the ground. So when was the last time you walked around outside with your shoes off?
Before August, hardly ever.
Okay, when was the last time you slept on the ground?
Never.
When I was a kid.
So we went to the thing up in Baltimore with Bronson, and Stephen Hesse was there.
Yeah, Dr. Stephen Hesse.
So Bob and I sent our lab work to him,
Uh-huh.
and he did a consultation with us. He said, I need you, as in me. He goes, Bob, you're not that bad. Donna, you're way off the chart.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, I want you to eat liver 2 to 3 times a week, and I want you to start grounding.
Mm-hmm.
So we started back in August, sitting out in the sun, barefoot for 30 minutes every day.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it got cold.
Yeah.
So we both have got grounding mats. Bob's got his, I've got mine. And most of the time when I feel really bad, I go pull mine off the bed and I set it in the chair wherever I am.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what's kept the inflammation and stuff down on me.
Yeah, I have no reason to doubt that. What you're presenting here is what is known as anecdotal evidence, but I believe you, and I believe you because I have a Beamer, which is an EMF mat, which my TMJ and all of that got so bad that I couldn't sleep. I was constantly in pain. You know that twang that you feel? Multiply that by 100 and have it going on all the time. Down your neck, down your arm, down your arm. Like I would lay in bed and I would say, I'm going to wake up paralyzed one day because I can barely move my arms. And it's just this constant pain. And nobody could help me. Oh, chiropractor, here, let me oh, physical therapy. Oh yeah, do this. I was desperate. My friend let me lay on it and I said, oh, so if it was placebo, it was placebo, right? So I said, I'm gonna wait a little bit longer. I saw her again. She let me lay on it again. I felt something, and it could have been placebo at that point because it's only been like 2 or 3 times that I've done it. But then every single time that I saw her and I was able to lay on that mat, I felt better. So it was $6,000. You've got to be really desperate if you are going to pull $6,000 out of your savings account and buy this piece of equipment. I sleep on it every night. It's hooked to my bed. It's under my mattress, under my sheet, on my bed.
So
I sleep on it.
what's the difference between that and grounding?
Well, I'm not grounding. I'm getting low level, like I'm getting 0.04 Teslas or something. It's just like super, super low level EMFs. And it increases blood flow.
Oh,
It increases
okay.
blood flow and helps with inflammation. And yeah, I totally believe it. But I don't go around like getting up on my soapbox and preaching Beamer. But I do share it when it's appropriate, and the people that I've shared it with that have purchased one have said, oh my God, this has changed my life. So, I mean, all of those things are anecdotal, but you can just look up Beamer, BEMER. There's hundreds of studies with EMF, electromagnetic frequency. Now, I'm certainly sure it's tied in somewhat with the grounding because there is an electromagnetic, there is the earth is magnetized, there is a magnetic north, and there is all of that. And basically, grounding is like the electron transfer, right? Okay? So, there's a book called The Comfort Crisis. Humans were meant to be uncomfortable. Every single day of our life, when you think about it as a hunter-gatherer, you were cold, you were hungry, you were in danger, you were hot, you were thirsty, hungry. I'm probably repeating some of them, right? All of these things. And there was no, let's just go live in this cave and be safe. You know what I mean?
The instant gratification.
Well, yeah, and it's like open this metal box and it's filled with food. Oh, you mean I don't have to go out and kill it? No, it's right there. Just eat it. Oh, so fasting. You mean I'm supposed to miss a meal on purpose? Well, fasting for hunter-gatherer means, you had shitty aim today. You didn't kill anything.
Going home with empty pockets.
Maybe tomorrow you'll get something to eat. Oh, by the way, you might dig up a tuber there if you're that hungry, right? Dig up a tuber. Another thing that cracks me up is, now these women that get pregnant on the ketogenic diet, they can't stay keto because it's not safe for the baby, because you need carbs to grow a baby. Well, I'm certainly sure that the hunter-gatherers, when they noticed this woman's belly popping out, stopped what they were doing to find some tubers for her to eat because she needed carbs. It's like, no, you know what they did? They probably made sure that she got the adrenal gland and stuff from and the liver, because they knew that that's what she needed to grow a healthy baby. And that's also the diet that they fed. Many cultures would feed that diet to the newlyweds to make sure that, because they wanted babies, right? That's the goal. And they would save those parts of the body to feed to the newlyweds and to get them ready for all of that.
I know. It's like,
But you see, that's just, there's no, culturally they,
But that's
you know,
what they ate.
that's what they
did.
ate, and
Yeah.
that's what they knew.
Yeah.
Just like, I love watching the videos where they take junk food. They take our junk food and our sodas, which we, when you think about that, when you go into a convenience store, look at the refrigerated section of all of the kinds of drinks. There's so many, right? And then all the rows of snacks, because there's so many. And evidently in England they don't have that many, right? So they took a bunch and they let these guys that were in I'm thinking that's a private school, they're school age, right? And they're so dignified with their English accent. And they're drinking this, and they take a drink of Mountain Dew. They've all heard of Mountain Dew, right? They've all heard of it. I mean, kind of notorious. It was disgusting to them. They thought it was the most disgusting thing.
Me too.
And so, yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It's awful. It's just, it's awful. But we don't think twice about having, typical thing. You're getting in the car to go on a road trip. You stop to gas up, and part of the routine of gassing up is you run in and you get your snacks. Everybody gets their,
Chips and
get whatever it is that they think that they're going to need for the duration of the trip. So it's a 5-hour trip. So you're telling me that you can't sit in a car for 5 hours without having to eat something. You are not gonna starve between here.
Oh, yes, I am. I'm
and
gonna
there.
have to stop. And it's usually I stop to get something to stay awake to
Yeah.
continue on the drive.
something caffeinated or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
you're already bringing your own water with you, water bottles
Well,
and whatever snacks you can eat, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so, and
I
we're
don't
just
stop
so
doing that.
programmed, and also I want you to, I'm planting this subliminal, it's not a subliminal idea, I'm putting this idea in your head. I want you to consciously be aware and post something on the Facebook page when you notice it. I want you to consciously be aware of all of the places that you go that sell food or a drink that is a completely inappropriate place to be selling food and drink. And I'll start with, now think about it. Why in TJ Maxx?
Oh yeah, I just heard about
Michael's at
TJ.
home,
Why-
Home Depot,
why are they-
all of those
why?
places.
Why?
Yeah.
Why?
Impulse buying.
Well, it is impulse buying, and it also takes advantage of the fact that, people like to, if it's there, as a reminder, you're gonna grab it. Because I mean, out of sight, out of mind works great for me. So you think, well, what am I gonna do when I open up the cabinet and say, for instance, somebody in your family is not doing what you're doing, and they wanna have all of that stuff that's a temptation for you, and it's right there in the pantry. You put their shelf down there. So that when you open the pantry and what you see right there is all the stuff that's the goodness for you, and that they're the ones that they have to look down there and grab that. Same thing in the fridge. Put all of their crap on one shelf and make it the one down at the bottom where it's inconvenient. I'm serious. And then you put all of your stuff there, so that's what you see. Because the first thing you see, it's just like in sales. If you put it on display, you're gonna sell it.
Yeah.
So if it's on display in your refrigerator, you're gonna eat it.
And
So just take that away to try to reduce the temptation. And then, here's the other thing, who does the grocery shopping? If it's you, just don't buy that crap. And if they want it, they can buy it.
Or eat it when they're not at home.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I told my daughter with her husband, because he won't do keto, and so she was having a hard time with it. And I told her, I said, so just stop buying, cause she is a food addict. She's not a moderator. That's just not who she is. She takes very
Right.
much after my mother-in-law. And, she can't, and her husband refuses to do keto, and I just kept telling her, I said, John, eat a sandwich when you're at work. Eat your cereal when you're at work.
Yeah.
You know, go in a couple of minutes early and have a bowl of cereal before you start working. Or get a sandwich or that kind of thing, but don't bring the stuff in the house.
Yeah, and that, it's just respectful. The thing is, it's food, so food is 100% socially acceptable. It's food, for Pete's sake. We all need to eat food. But if you flip the script and you say it's alcohol because your friend or the person that you love is a recovering alcoholic, you are not going, and they can't be around it at all. Are you gonna say, oh, it's too bad, I'm still bringing it around because I don't really care about you that much? You wouldn't, because we realize the importance of that, and we recognize how sacred it is that somebody has their coin, and they've been clean, and all of that. Same thing with drugs. You wouldn't do that with drugs, but with food, that's the most socially acceptable drug there is. And right on the tail of it is alcohol. People will hassle you about not having a drink, and people will hassle you, oh, just one little bite won't hurt. So we just have to learn to strategize ways that we handle that.
None of them leave my house hungry when they come over for meals, and they all come over for meals. Me included.
That's right.
And he eats keto.
When they're at my house, they do.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
So my son is home today, cooking. He loves to cook, so I'm grateful that he enjoys cooking. And it's football games today, and he is making buffalo chicken dip, wings in the air fryer, and some other thing. And he said, it's all keto compliant, Mom. And I said, are you going to eat the dip? Because he has an issue with dairy. He's like, no, I'm not going to eat that, but I'm going to eat the other stuff. But everyone else can have the dip, and he enjoys cooking, and I'm grateful that he likes cooking the stuff even that he can't eat. So that's different. It took a while to get us there because my daughter-in-law, I think by 2 points, did the glucose tolerance test, failed, and is now monitoring her blood sugar, and her blood sugars have been beautiful. I said, there's got to be a cutoff, and when there's a cutoff, it's 2 points. There's a cutoff. They have to do a certain protocol. So you just keep doing what you're doing, and your numbers are beautiful. But what she has learned from having to do that, and I think there's benefit for everybody, maybe wearing a CGM for a little while if they can get their doctor to write them a prescription for one. And I think the best way to do that is you might want to share with your doctor that you think, you either say, I think I might have some blood sugar issues, like that my blood sugar may go too high when I eat certain things, or it may drop too low.
I got one.
Can I
That's
monitor?
legal, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
You
have
know,
one.
could you just prescribe one for me for a month so that I can see how I react to foods? But she's now able to see how she personally reacts to foods, and the difference in like eating a home cooked meal versus having something that was quick and convenient. It is it's, the difference is astounding, maybe sometimes 100 points difference at the 1 hour mark. So it's just good information to have. And I think there's benefit in doing it, especially people if they're like information or data geeks. They like to know and see the data. They want to know. Can we do a time check?
4:14.
Oh yeah, so you're from 3 to 4. Gosh, boy, time flies, man.
We're having fun.
Well, does anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to know about macros, if it's
Oh yeah, okay. So you want to figure out how to determine what your macros are?
right.
Okay, so are you eating mostly ketovore or carnivore or?
I'm trying to go carnivore.
Okay, so basically, you need to probably have about at least 150. Try to get 125 to 150 grams of protein with the associated fat. Now, ideally, you probably want to do 1-to-1 ratio of the fat. So, you know, ribeyes is a fattier cut of meat. The 70-20 or the 80, what is it, 70-30, 85-15, whatever in the burger. So you're gonna need to use an app because it's better at guesstimating how much fat is in there. And of course, if you're cooking it and the fat's running off, you're gonna have to try to, you know, either pour the fat back over or something.
I have to be very careful when it comes to the fat because I don't have a gallbladder.
Okay.
Even though I've been doing this for 4 to 5 years, I still, if I have, and I haven't figured out which more fat. I know I can't do MCT oil. That's totally out.
Yeah, that's,
So the bacon, like with us doing the jerky, it's fatty fat. So I know I'm getting plenty of that, and I seem to tolerate that. But and I usually take the Amish butter and I make ghee with it because I can't do the dairy or the whey, and that helps a lot.
so I would just eat the protein and the associated fat that comes with it.
Okay.
And see what happens. And don't worry about under eating, because I have a new theory on this whole thing about,
I don't think I'm under eating. I think I'm overeating.
That's me, I'm overeating.
yeah,
The thing
Good
is,
stuff, but
I
I'm
go to
still
work
overeating.
at 2 in the afternoon, and I'm a custodian at the school. So the kids start leaving around like 3:45. So between that time, I'm sitting there doing nothing. But I want to make sure I eat before 2, so that I can make it till 6:30. And there's plenty of junk food in that school. I'm telling you, every corner there is
are you talking
candy.
about 6:30 a.m.?
PM.
Oh, p.m., okay.
So that's usually when I go to dinner. So I usually get up around 8:39. Bob fixes me 2 eggs, 4 pieces of bacon, or 6 pieces of bacon, one of the 2. And then I eat something, some kind of meat before I leave for work. Then I have some kind of meat at 6:30.
Okay.
And that's usually the way my day is.
So do you have a tracking app?
Yes.
So try to make sure that you put it in, just track what you're eating in a typical day. Like, don't try to do anything any differently than what you do. Just see how many grams of protein you're getting and the
Okay.
associated fat with that. Okay, you shouldn't be, you know, you're moderately active because you have a janitorial job. You have to sweep and mop and do stuff like that, right? So, based on your age and your height, I would think that you need to be eating at least 1,800 to 2,000 calories a day, at least.
Okay.
And that's an estimate from me. But it's not about calories in, calories out. It's about making sure that you're properly fueled. But a ketogenic way of eating is muscle sparing, according to Finney and Volek, and according to the, you know, the science and something of low carb living, the science and their book, Finney and Bullock. It's an excellent book. But I think we put too much emphasis on macros. However, you still need to know periodically from time to time just exactly how much food am I eating. Let me track this for a couple days, and then you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, I'm good. I don't need to track anymore.
Well, Bob and I went out to dinner to Texas Roadhouse, and I went up to the case. I've been listening to Laura Spaff,
Okay.
and she was saying how to eat there. So I went out and picked my steak, because the best one looked was 24 ounces.
Okay.
So it came to the table. I got my, yeah, I got the baked potato loaded without the baked potato,
Uh-huh.
and I got the salad, but I basically just picked the cheese out of it. So then Bob goes, oh, well, you're going to have lunch for tomorrow, right? Leftover from your big steak. I ate every bit of it. I
Yeah.
probably could have eaten more.
So if you were to just type in 24 ounces, was it a ribeye or a T-bone?
Ribeye.
Ribeye, like a 24-ounce ribeye, like how many grams of protein that is, and then how many grams of fat, and it's a guesstimate. Like all of those tracking apps give you best guesstimate. There is no
24 ounce
nobody has
ribeye?
nobody has a calorimeter where they're putting their ribeye. First of all, what?
Modeling is different, or the levels of
That's
fat
true.
versus
Mhm.
the
Yeah, that's right.
meat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's all different.
exactly. And it was just like, he's just looking at me like, are you
So
I
okay?
can eat a lot of
So
beef
ask,
too.
ask,
Yeah.
How many grams of protein is in 24 ounce ribeye steak?
Broiled, the same piece of ribeye contains 205 calories, 28.9 grams of protein, and 9 grams of fat. This is from healthfully.com.
Yeah, I'm
That doesn't sound
I'm
like
a
a
little
nut.
I'm a little skeptical of that, but
I'll bet you that's for 8 ounces.
probably, yeah, that's probably for 8 ounces. So you probably want to triple that, but so you got the loaded baked potato without the potatoes. You had sour cream and cheese
The butter,
and
the
butter.
cheese.
Yeah, so like
Bacon.
you could kind of dip your steak in that if you wanted to or if you needed to. Yeah.
And just dump it on the steak.
I was in heaven that day. And then when I said to Bob, I was curious. I said, so how much was that steak? And it was like $43. And I'm going, we could have gone to BJ's and gotten double that.
Mhm.
But
But
this,
but then you would have had to have cooked it, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that's fine. I mean,
exactly. I mean, we are like you guys. We're very picky about where we go to eat. And I love Dr. Barry going through McDonald's to get his burgers. I absolutely love it.
Yeah.
You know, I almost thought